Not all second installments can be Empire Strikes Back or The Dark Knight. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, starring Chris Pratt, Zoe Saladana, Dave Bautista, Bradley Cooper, Michael Rooker, Karen Gillian, Pom Klementieff, Kurt Russell, Vin Diessel, and directed by James Gunn. The second installment for the wildly popular space opera comic book revolves around Peter Quill's father, Ego the Living Planet, and his plans for Peter and the galaxy as a whole. The movie overall is a strong second effort and extremely enjoyable, but falls victim to trying to cram too much story and development in its 2-hour runtime. James Gunn is a masterful filmmaker. The first Guardians of the Galaxy was brilliant. He was able to bring an obscure comic book to the forefront and make a living tree a lovable character. The second volume has much of the same dynamic as the first, with the interactions of the Guardians being some of the best parts of the movie. The comedy is what makes the film. It is placed at exactly the right moments for the film, and overall the jokes hit. There were admittedly 1 or 2 times the comedy was being stretched, but only on occasion. The show stealer for me again was Drax, played by Dave Bautista. I loved him in the first movie and he did not disappoint in Volume 2. The brutal honesty and literalness made for some of the best moments, and his interactions with Mantis were fantastic. Bautista may not be a great actor, but he is the perfect Drax. There isn't a bad performance in the film, and the chemistry everyone has jumps off the screen. This is also surprising since 2 characters are totally CG. Rocket and Groot once again are incredible, and Bradley Cooper does a great job with the voice. Baby Groot is adorable, and is everything Disney and Marvel could hope for. The thing is going to sell a ton of toys, and it should. Gunn is able to take all of these elements and mold them into an extremely enjoyable 2 hours at the movies. The downside to the film is there's too much going on, and because of this, nothing is able to develop for satisfying payoffs. As an example, take the interactions between Gamora and Nebula. The interactions between them are good, but the actual story points aren't developed enough for the audience to get a good connection to their particular story. The same could be said for the interactions Peter has with his father. This is probably the most developed connection, but because there are so many stories in the movie, it isn't allowed to develop fully, and the payoffs at certain moments seemed forced and unnatural. The worst case is Yondu's story. His part of the film is essential, and Rooker does a great job as the character, but his story isn't allowed to develop enough for the right emotional payoff. I think a few story elements could have been cut out, and then others could have been focused on more. Nebula could have been left out, and nothing would have been lost to the overall story. I'm thinking the big story group at Marvel may have forced her story in the film for future movies. Like any good Marvel film, the villains are also underdeveloped. But I actually like the gold-skinned aliens which chase the Guardians throughout the film. In the end, they are just providing more explosions and cool action scenes, but they are at least interesting. They could have been seen in the first part of the movie, and not seen again to tighten the story, but their concept and culture overall intrigued me enough to add value to the film. I won't go into the main big bad for the movie, but I liked where the story tried to go with this aspect. However, more development was needed to make it more impactful. Overall, I thought the villains and Guardians were more interesting than what is usually found in most Marvel films, and I hope Aisha and her race show up again. The underdevelopment story issues aside, Guardians is still a vastly enjoyable film to watch and enjoy. I can see myself watching it multiple times because the characters and their interactions are fantastic. The movie falls into the sequel's trap of trying to do too much. The movie is not as singularly focused in story as the first. I praise Gunn for shooting for a more complex story, and the parts with Peter and Ego are good. There just needed to be more of this and less of some of the other story elements. The movie isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, and if you're a fan of comic book films, then this is a must-see. I'll still be buying this one on Blu-ray because I could easily see myself watching both volumes back to back, and Baby Groot alone is worth the multiple viewings. Let me know what you think of Guardians of the Galaxy if you've seen it. Did you think it was better than the first? Like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching.